What's up, everybody? This is Shane again from the Twin Sons podcast. I wanted to bring you a video today talking about the most recent Gauntlet. So we have a Gauntlet where it's going to be 4 rounds. You're bringing 3 different decks. In the past, you just had to win one of your games after doing a ban, but this is going to be the same format that the seasonal tournament's going to be in. So you're actually going to bring 3 decks, ban one of your opponents as they ban one of yours. After that, you're going to have to win games with each of your decks. Once you win with one, you can't win with the. You have to win with the other. You can't play that same one again to win your second game. So that's how it's going to go. So I want to talk you through my lineup going into this and the strategy I had about why I brought these 3 decks. Again, this is right after patch 1.14, so things are very new. So I pretty much took in 3 decks that I've been playing a little bit of now and targeted a particular thing that I want to ban, and I'm going to see how it goes. As you can see, I already played one game, got one round win. So let me talk to you about what the 3 decks are. So starting off on the boring end, we just have Spring. So this is the same thing I hit Masters with this season. It's Soraka, Tahm Kench. This deck didn't get touched at all in the most recent patch. If anything, I think it got very buffed because other things that it was bad against got nerfed. Especially, I'm talking about the Weirding Stones being at 3 health is huge because you run Shakedown and things like the Shield Bearer as well as just straight up the Boxtopus. You have a lot of ways to actually get to that Weirding Stones to stop their ramp, and that really helps in this matchup. So this matchup, you guys are probably familiar with the Springs deck if you're watching this video. It's just Soraka and Tahm Kench. Your whole game plan is to win off of the Star Spring. This list is really strong, really good. You got plenty of ways to self-inflict damage, plenty of healing options. You got Broadback Protectors, plenty of counter play against Vengeance and things like that, and against high damage units with 4 Astral Protections. And you really just want to pump out, 5 units, fill your board up, have a Star Spring out there, and just ride that mid-range control wave just to the end of the game. It's got a really strong matchup into a lot of the meta. I would say it can struggle against ramp if they feel the rush. If it gets to that late, you kind of need to stop it a little bit before that, but you even have a couple play around options then. But you have a lot of ways that you want to just start healing quickly. Pretty decent into discard aggro as well because you have a solid amount of challenger units, and if you get enough healing, you're set. It can get overwhelmed early, but it's still pretty good. Really good into scouts, really good into Nightfall, really good into a lot of other mid-range stuff. I'd say the weakest matchup, in my opinion, is probably like an Ashe Sejuani that just fills the board with 5/5s really quick, and Culling Strike absolutely eats us, right? We have Soraka and Tahm Kench, so Culling Strike dominates when we want to get our entire ramp going. So your game plan, again, win with Star Springs, win by controlling the board with Kench slowly, and then you can even sneak some damage through with the Star Shepherd to win if you have it. You got to be rocking the Stellacorn and the Targon board, 100%. All right, moving on to the second deck here. Here we have essentially a burn deck. It was based off an old deck I used to play with the Syren. I know the Syren's a weird card, but it's really strong. You compare that with, you combine that with Funsmith and Kegs between Deckhand, Petty Officer, and Gangplank. And now, again, we're in Bilgewater, so we know a lot of these cards have changed over time. So we know Petty Officer's down to 1 health. We know Make It Rain's up to 3 mana. These cards are still really solid cards. Whole point of this is just to hit a solid Crackshot Corsair. Now that she's a 1/2, she's such a good 1-drop for pushing through early damage. Hit a Crackshot Corsair, Boom Crew, Misfortune, and then you just kind of want to start piling up some damage. Funsmith will dig you out something good for Nexus damage, and you just want to ping away at that Nexus slowly, and then finish off with a high level, or with either a leveled Gangplank or even an unleveled one that's just getting some overall damage, and then with a Syren swinging out as you boost all your spells damage with Funsmith and things like that. Again, if you're attacking with MF and a Corsair, or just even MF and a Funsmith, or a Keg, a Funsmith and MF, anything along those combos, you're just doing so much board damage. It's really hard for a lot of things to block against this. Again, I would say Ashe Sejuani, again, is another weak link here, but this is pretty good into anything that doesn't have a lot of healing. Ramp can be slightly a bit of a problem, but you can sometimes overwhelm them early and really get a lot of damage through before they can really heal. And a lot of times some of their healing can be slow. If you can save enough spells up, you can try to finish around that slow healing. Or again, if their healing's even fast, but you can stack damage on top, you can try to finish off that way. Really solid deck against a lot of different things. It definitely is going to catch people's surprise. I know it's just a burn deck, but it's got some fanciness in there that's pretty solid. Last deck here, we have Daybreak Dragons. I've been calling it D&D for Mikey because he loves D&D. So essentially, we're just running a Daybreak early curve with the SSPL, as Mikey used to say. And we have Shyvana in a top-heavy Dragons curve. Obviously, Screeching Dragon's the best dragon out there. He's amazing. The Eclipse Dragon now is crazy strong. 7/7 for 7 and has 2 really strong effects. Really solid card. And then the Mind Splitter can really help you stabilize late game. You want to rally here after getting some stuns or after having a really strong board and finish them out. This deck is really good into a lot of different matchups. You have plenty of options to get rid of Ezreal with Single Combat, Concerted Strike, and Strafing Strike, and any other high-value targets like that. You can trade unit for unit against most mid-range decks really strongly, and then my favorite part about it is you got the Egghead, the Priestess, Raven, and Eclipse Dragon all have the possibility to refill your hand with really valuable cards. And that's a problem with Demacia decks. Sometimes you just burn out when you're playing Scouts. They killed all your units, you're out of units. They killed all your dragons, you're out of dragons. Decks that can replenish their hand this well are really, really strong for late game pushes, and it's been proving so very well so far. I've been playing this a bit in Masters, went about like 8-2 overall so far. Really strong, surprisingly strong deck. Shyvana just recently got buffed, and the Eclipse Dragon got buffed, so it's good time to be playing dragons. Again, weakest link here is Ashe Sejuani. When they can freeze you and all of your combat strikes are reliant on your units striking your opponents, Frostbite's just going to crush you. So you can see there, as I said, weak matchups all across the board is going to be Ashe Sejuani. So that's what we're going to ban. So we're going to go in knowing that we want to ban Ashe and Sejuani matchups or any Frostbite mid-range thing like that. If it's Sejuani Swain, anything like that, we want to get that off the board. We don't feel like dealing with it. The rest of the matchups, we're going to try our best to swing into them. I expect ramp to be pretty prevalent, but I think we can take on ramp with a lot of these decks. Rush decks can be a problem. I would probably say Discard Ag would be my second band if the first band isn't a Frostbite deck. And then third would probably be ramp. Any other mid-range thing, I'm feeling really confident with these decks. All 3 across the board. I expect Springs to get banned a lot because people just hate the Springs. I played 1 game so far and won the round. They banned Dragons, and they had brought some pretty janky decks. There was something with the Fiora, and then I forget what the other one was. It was like 4 champs, so it was definitely a newer player. But that's my suggestion. That's just what I'm going into it. Again, this is right after patch 1.14, so there is a lot up in the air right now. Decks are all over the place. The meta's kind of crazy. It's very fun to play in right now, so highly suggest doing this. As always, guys, we are the Twin Suns Podcast. We bring you guys tons of different content on RuneterraCCG.com. I write articles there. I've written a lot about the Singleton Gauntlet, but now we have 2 gauntlets here, so we're trying to bring you a new form of content in these YouTube videos where we're going to break down some decks, just do a few different things, maybe play a couple games. But this is what I am bringing into this week's Bring 3, Ban 2 Gauntlet, and I'll put the deck codes in the description of the video. You guys can follow us on Twitter, join our Discord, all that good stuff. We host tournaments, we have a Patreon, we have everything. All the links are in the Discord, and if you guys have any questions, just feel free to swing by. We're pretty nice folks. We'll talk to you. All right, till next time.